We're like baby Overlanders right now.
Who's gonna give us the medal of adults Overlander?
After we finish Mexico.
I assume we make it that far.
I'm assuming we're making it to Patagonia. Oh, the end of the road! Oh, the beginning. Here we are in the USA and we're in Mexico. People think that journeys begin when you turn the key, when you finally leave after months of planning and staring at maps. But for me, this one started over 6 years ago when I quit my job, my comfortable life, and everything I knew in France. I left searching for something I couldn't quite name. Something different, a new way of living, far from all the you should and you have to. I wanted more freedom, more spontaneity, and I really never came back. Okay, all that is great, but that doesn't explain how I ended up crossing the Americas on motorcycle. And for that, I need to take you to New Zealand. Makes total sense, right? That's where I was planning my overland trip back to Europe, from Malaysia to France, all by road. I didn't grow up in a traveling family, but I did grow up in a family of bikers. So doing this trip on a motorcycle felt pretty natural. But clearly, I am not filming that from Kazakhstan. I am in Belize, and that's because of a guy. A Belgian traveler I met in New Zealand. He was about to leave for Canada, and I followed him. So we arrived in Canada at the start of winter. My second winter in a row. The thing you do for love. As we wander around the small town where we've decided to settle down in Canada, we started making plans just to distract ourselves from the cold and the grey. And I still had that long overland journey stuck in my mind. So I made Quentin the most reasonable offer I could think of. Let's ride motorcycle from one end of the Americas to the other. And he said yes. So we gave ourselves a year and a half to save up and get ready and for him to learn how to ride a bike. After saving a few thousand coffee, it was time to leave everything behind, again. It was June 1st, 2024, and let me tell you, I didn't feel ready at all. I didn't sleep the night before, Quentin had gotten his license just 3 days earlier, and that morning it took us hours to pack everything onto the bikes. Badly, I might add, we had to stop several times to adjust our straps. But we left. After months of preparation and stress, the movement dissipated everything. With the first few kilometers, my doubts faded away, and I began to live in the present again. We didn't go very far that day, just far enough to say, that's it, we're off.
Those birds?
We pitched our tent by a lake. These were the first hesitant step of what would quickly become a well-rehearsed choreography. And then we just spent the evening talking. It was difficult to realize what we were starting then, what we were getting ourselves into. I was like very stressed. But now I think I just don't realize that when I'm just going camping for a weekend. It's actually until I don't know when.
Yeah.
Like we're gonna do that for years every night. So it's just, I just don't realize it's like too big in my brain to realize that we are on the Pan American. The first week was wet and I didn't feel much because getting used to this new reality plus learning how to film my daily life was a little bit much to take on at once. We built lots of shelters out of tarps. were as happy as kids, despite the incessant rain. After all, we were living a dream. We headed north and found blue skies again. We were already happy, but then, wow, every kilometer was pure bliss. We joined the Alaska Highway north of British Columbia and followed it for days. No words or GoPro videos can do justice to the extraordinary beauty of this corner of the world. To add to the magic, we saw our very first bear on the side of the road. Then the further north we went, the more we saw, sometimes up to 5 or 6 a day. And every time we encountered these wild animals, we felt incredibly lucky. On the other hand, we were much less keen on encountering them while camping. So we got into the habit of carrying pepper spray with us and, above all, keeping anything that smelled away from our tents. The Alaska Highway took us to the Yukon. A wild land that has inspired so many adventure stories. I felt like I was discovering a completely different country from the one I had been living in for a year and a half. The people here are not cut from the same clothes as those in the cities. And I felt incredibly at home here. One day, I will come back here to spend the whole winter. But it was for the summer solstice that we arrived in Dawson City. Dawson is a small town that looks like something straight out of an old western movie. But here, gold seekers are still searching. We spent a few days in a completely off-grid cabin built by Klaus, whom we had met completely by chance in a supermarket parking lot 500 kilometers further south. But it was time to tackle the first big challenge of this trip, the Dempster Highway. This is the road that would take us to the Arctic Ocean, the starting point of the journey. But don't be fooled by the name. The Dempster Highway is anything but a highway. It's 900 kilometers of dirt roads. I must admit, I was feeling rather nervous. The closer we got, the more horrific stories we were hearing. Actually, it was even close when we arrived in Dawson City because a motorcyclist had slipped on the sand and been run over by the truck behind him. That set up the mood. But anyway, I went for it because if I stopped every time I was afraid, I would never have left my village in France. And the weather was on our side. Almost 24 hours of beautiful northern sunshine. The track was technical but dry, and with the right bags, it was doable. And once again, the movement dispelled all my fears. It starts off strong in the middle of the mountains of Tombstone National Park. It's hard to imagine a more epic landscape for a motorcycle ride. After a few days, we left the Yukon and entered the Northwest Territories. The mountains gradually gave way to tundra. We just made it to the Arctic Circle where there's a lot of mosquitoes. The end of the road is known to be extremely difficult to travel by motorcycle, so I wasn't at all sure I would make it to the end. Crossing the Arctic Circle was a huge victory in itself. We made it! We made it! But we kept going, despite the deep gravel and the clouds of bloodthirsty mosquitoes. We arrived in Inuvik. This is where the last stretch of the road to the Arctic Ocean begins. The one I had been dreading from the start. This road is fairly new. which means the gravel is very loose, and riding on it, it's a bit like surfing or riding a rodeo. Not that I know how to do either, but that's the impression it gave me. A constant battle to keep my balance. I was so tense on the bike that I had sore muscle for several days afterwards. And after long hours of surfing on gravel, we finally arrived. Tuktoyaktuk.
Yes, Quentin! Oh, the end of the road! Oh, the beginning. Depends how you feel. But, yeah. Oh, it's cool. Oh my god. No.
And it was here that Quentin made what may be the most dusty marriage proposal in history. Perfect, in my eyes. After refreshing deep in the Arctic Ocean...
Don't tell my feet anymore.
Well, a foot bath, really. It was time to turn back.
How long can your phone record? Like 2 hour max? Otherwise we're never gonna make it, eh?
I don't think I'm gonna make it. I think that's how far I go. I just want to...
Not even the knees?
Well, not even the knee, yeah. I mean, that's not too bad. Like the Arctic Ocean. Half cup.
Mm-hmm.
We were finally beginning our long journey south. The return trip on the Dempster highway was a battle against the sky, which was cooking up storms for us. We pushed on and almost won. But that was without counting on a flat tire on Quentin's motorcycle, only 90 kilometers before the end of the road. The first of the trip and not the last. German travelers in a truck whom we had met a few days earlier were able to give us a hand. We had all the necessary tools, but they were Polly Pocket size. Quentin was able to finish the Dempster highway on his motorcycle, before getting another flat tire after 20 kilometers on the paved roads. The German travelers came back to our rescue and loaded the motorcycle onto the truck. They took it back to Klaus's place, who welcomed us back onto his property and was also able to help us repair the motorcycle tire, because it is completely impossible to find a new tire in this area. To cross Canada a second time, we followed the Cassia Highway. More rugged and isolated than the Alaska Highway, we spent several days traveling through the boreal forests before reaching the high mountains of Canada's west coast. We would have loved to cross the border at that point, but we had to wait for paperwork that would allow Quentin to get his permanent driver's license. Or almost. So we found a volunteer opportunity and spent August with an indigenous family on the Sunshine Coast, helping them with their horses or jobs and garden. In exchange, we were able to stay in a tent that was much more spacious than ours, in the middle of the woods. This is my little office, improvised office with my camping chair. We're just making a little fire here. The fire ban has been cancelled today actually, so that's the first fire, and I feel so warm and cozy in the tent. It's so nice. And look at that view on the forest, how nice it is. I love it. And it was here that I edited my first YouTube videos. I was off and running. The forced wait turned into a month full of sweetness, enjoying life stuck between mountains and ocean. After a month on the Sunshine Coast, we spent a few weeks on Vancouver Island, still waiting for our papers. There are worse places on earth to wait. Yeah, we just arrived in the cafe where my friends work, and hopefully she has a letter for us. And then we finally received this document, sent by our former roommates to a former colleague who now live on the island. We were finally ready to cross the first border of the trip. We arrived in the United States a little over a month behind schedule. Here we are in the USA, finally. Woo! Just a little bit later than expected. Yay! Hi!
I didn't hear you come in.
Hey, how's it going?
I'm Rebecca, that's Michael.
Michael?
Yeah.
Leah?
Leah, okay.
And I'm Quentin. Who's that?
That's Katniss.
Okay.
Oh, that's good.
Hey!
Well packed bag, welcome.
Thank you very much. And thanks for hosting us.
Yeah, sure.
I'll digress for a moment here because I'm often too shy to ask people to film them, but in the United States, we made an intensive use of a network called Bunker Biker. It's a network of people who want to welcome travelers on motorcycle like us for free. And we met a lot of people like that who welcome us like old friends, offering us a bubble of familiarity in a country we didn't know. And if any of you are watching this video, thank you so much. Your incredible hospitality, your instant friendship, and your sincere solidarity made our experience in the United States very special, very far from all the stereotypes of individualism. So thank you for that. Back on the road, heading south, always. We spent some time in Washington State, which is absolutely beautiful. But we quickly realized that winter was fast approaching and we needed to head south. Yeah. We arrived in Portland, where I met someone very special. I met Amelia in a hostel in New Zealand and we went hiking together. We crossed the South Island, 1,000 kilometers through forests, rivers, and lots of mountains. More than 2 months of walking together inevitably creates a unique bond. So you can imagine how happy I was, not only to see them again, but also to go hiking with them and their friends in the mountains of Central Oregon, which I heard so much about.
I feel like it was probably like
But the weather forecast predicted snow in the coming days, so we quickly returned to the coast and continued our journey south. And what an incredible road it was.
Yeah.
Never been a sinner, I never sinned. I got a friend in Jesus. So you know that when I die, He's gonna set me up with the Spirit in the sky. Oh, set me up with the Spirit in the sky. That's where I'm gonna go when I die. When I die and they lay me to rest, I'm gonna go to the place that's the best. Go to the place that's the best.
When we arrived in Los Angeles, we naively thought we had won the race against winter. So we treated ourselves to a little detour into the desert. It's always warm in the desert, right? Joshua Tree National Park was perfect. Ideal temperatures and it's beautiful.
It's quite crazy, the stacks of rocks like that.
We then continue our journey through the Mojave Desert. I particularly love desert. Perhaps because they contrast so starkly with the green hills where I grew up. I love these endless spaces where the sky meets the horizon, where immensity and inhospitability inspire humility. You feel both tiny and vulnerable, but also badass because you're there, crossing and surviving this landscape where humans seem almost like intruders. So I was happy, the main character in my life. But the atmosphere quickly changed when we arrived in northern Arizona. We were caught in a snowstorm.
This is slippery. We're not going. We cannot make it there. Oh, bordel. Oh, don't feel my fingers. Oh, that is not fun. How are you doing? Oh putain, my fingers. Oh, that's painful. Oh, fuck.
We thought we would camp the whole way, but we had to spend our night in motels. A first for me. First night ever in a motel. It clearly blew out our budget, but it allowed us to warm up after freezing days on the road. Speaking of budget, after this video, I will make 2 videos. One to answer all your questions. So if you have any question, you can put them in comments or send them to me on Instagram that appears here. And the second video to break down all the budgets. And if you're watching the video several weeks after it went out, I'll just put the links in the description. Anyway, we spent all our savings in motels, but we got to visit the Grand Canyon and wow! I've seen hundreds of pictures and it's so different to see it in real life, to realize how huge it is. It really lives up to its name. We also rode through Monument Valley, back in the movie, but with the feeling that I could lose my fingers at any moment because of the cold. We wanted to see more of Utah, but that will have to wait for another time. It's too cold. That gives us a good excuse to come back. We rode through Zion National Park and Death Valley, which blew us away. Seriously, look at this. I knew the American West was beautiful, but here it's breathtaking around every bend. Anyway, the atmosphere changed completely when we left the desert and arrived in Las Vegas. We had a very special date with Elvis Presley. We then returned to the southern coast of California, where we spent a few weeks pet sitting. And this time, sooner than expected, we were ready to cross a new border. A border that means a change of culture and a change of language. Our arrival in Mexico was not as joyful as we had imagined.
And we're in Mexico. We're just leaving Tecate, the border town now, to go on the coast, find somewhere to camp. It didn't go as smooth as I was hoping.
Some administrative difficulties, again, meant that we were able to import only one of the two motorcycles. Fortunately, however, the Baja California Peninsula does not require an import permit, so this gave us a few extra weeks to solve the problem before going to the rest of Mexico.
It was a bit of a bummer, but at least we can move, and we're in Mexico, and now I just want to go on the beach and camp somewhere nice. But it's so cool to be in Mexico. The last 5 years I've traveled in New Zealand, Australia, Canada and the USA, so only English-speaking countries with like quite similar culture. And yeah, I'm excited to struggle a little bit more.
The first few days, we came by the ocean, enjoying the sunshine and the sweetness of a life without responsibilities. Then we crossed Baja California, following the coastline and then its deserts, regularly leaving the main road to pitch our tent in what seemed like the middle of nowhere. One of my fondest memories of Mexico is the day spent camping among the giant cacti. We were completely alone in the world, rationing our water so we could stay a little longer and burning dead cactus wood to keep warm after sunset.
Cuando baja el sol, me acuerdo de ti. Aquella noche triste cuando yo te perdí.
We then hit the road again, heading for the coast on the other side of the peninsula, where the sun rises over the ocean. We camped and worked for a few days in a small restaurant before crossing the peninsula again. Little by little, we made our way to the south of Baja, where one of the most beautiful sights imaginable awaited us. Sitting for hours on the beach, staring at the horizon, we watched the whales also heading south. From the south of the peninsula, Quentin had to return to the Canadian winter to sort out our administrative issues and obtain his permanent motorcycle license.
That will be fun. It will be fun.
Meanwhile,
Yes, look at that.
I camped alone for the first time on the trip, overcoming my fear.
We have like a pole that is broken in several pieces. Ah, merde. Allez. At the end of that pole, I'm missing a part, to put it here. So I'm just gonna like bury it. Zippers on both sides are completely broken. I really hope they're gonna hold tonight. I made a fire. I was really stressed this morning. I'm very happy that I went camping by myself. I think I prefer camping with other people. I really like sharing these moments, but I'm happy to know that I'm capable of doing it.
In the end, we spent nearly 2 months in Baja California, and it was, I think, the sweetest possible introduction to Mexico. It's easy to travel around this peninsula, even with a broken Spanish, and it's safe and beautiful. But it was time to cross the Gulf and discover the real Mexico. And what better way to do that than to settle down somewhere? Okay, welcome home. We chose Guadalajara, where we spent 2 months volunteering.
Buenos Aires. Sí.
1 month at her hostel and another at a small guest house. The truth is, I was running out of savings. But that was perfect timing because I just had been accepted to the main language learning platform. And that's how this trip plunged me into a complete surprise career. French teacher. Those 2 months were very busy, volunteering, French lessons, YouTube videos, but it was also an opportunity to immerse ourselves in the Mexican culture and finally have a proper social life. When you live on the road for a long time, it feels really good.
Okay, goodbye.
After this long break, we were happy to be back on the road and especially to be camping again.
We have a new tent. This is the first time we're camping with it tonight. I'm very happy with the new tent. It's a little bit more spacious than the one we had. This one is really made for travelers and motorcycles, so there's more space for storage and luggage. But it's still very lightweight, so we could actually go on a hike with it. I would gladly trade all the comforts of the world for these evenings alone with the sky, in the warmth of a campfire. Absolutely nothing in the modern world can match this feeling of absolute freedom. Speaking of the modern world, we hit the road again and spent a few days in Mexico City, where we were warmly welcomed by our bunker biker hosts. In fact, we were lucky to have Gary there to guide us through the chaotic traffic in the capital.
Yeah, I guess you can pass me.
No, that wasn't traffic.
That wasn't?
It wasn't, no.
No. No, that was very easy.
Yeah, it's Saturday.
We then headed to Oaxaca. First, we visited the city of Oaxaca de Juarez, where we were treated to a wonderful array of colors and music.
Ya me canso de llorar y no amanece. Ya no sé si maldecirte o por ti rezar. Tengo miedo de buscarte y de encontrarte. Donde me aseguran mis amigos que te vas. Y mi cariño con la aurora te vuelve a buscar. Y agarraste por tu cuenta
Then the coast, where we settled down for a few weeks in Puerto Escondido. It was late April, early May, and this time it was the heat that made the trip challenging. It seemed like a long time ago when we struggled to ride because we couldn't feel our fingers on the handlebars. Now the problem was the sweat burning our eyes inside the helmets. But let's say that's the beauty of riding a motorcycle. We are in total harmony with the elements. And right now, the elements are burning my butts through my jeans when I sit on the saddle. So our trip turned into a quest for water.
Where's that lake? Ah, found it.
Waterfalls, even though we couldn't swim in this one at the time.
We just drove 2 hours in the mountains to go and swim in a waterfall because we've been told that was cold, fresh water. And when we arrived, we learned that it wasn't the good season. It's actually too muddy now because the water level is too low. So that gives you a rush, so we cannot swim.
A small muddy pond or the raging ocean will take it all. But the coolness awaited us in the mountains of Chiapas. So we hit the road again, incidentally passing through a wildfire, then slept in the northern edge and right through a storm. Before arriving in San Cristobal de las Casas. And there, it was love at first sight.
Te quiero decir, te elijo a ti. Si me dan a elegir, te elijo a ti.
I think it instantly became my favorite city in the world. If we didn't have visa restriction, Quentin and I would have chosen to live there for a few months. It's also a place I've always dreamed of visiting, having been fascinated by the history of the Zapatistas for a long time. These indigenous communities, after a revolution, built autonomous villages. I actually made an entire video about it. I encourage you to watch it if you've never heard of the Zapatistas. But our 6-month visa was coming to an end, and there was one place in Chiapas I really wanted to visit. So we hit the road again, leaving the highlands behind and heading into the jungle. Just in time for the first rain of the year.
Yeah, I'm ready to get right now.
After a night quite noisy, and a somewhat chaotic morning.
So we walked all the way to the entrance of the park. We needed a ticket and we couldn't buy them here. We had to go back in town. That was several kilometers. So we walked back to the restaurant where we camped. Quentin took a bike, went into town to buy the ticket. Bought the ticket that was actually quite expensive. But well, that was probably worth it. But he lost them on the way back because he put them in his pocket. That doesn't close. So yeah, he's back buying new tickets. You have tickets?
Yes, I didn't have to pay them again at least.
Oh, they
Thanks
were
to the
nice.
lovely ladies.
That's nice one. And you put your phone in the...
Yes, I just realized as I came here.
Going to the Maya ruins, third attempt.
we headed off to visit the Mayan city of Palenque, where ancient stones still tell the story of a great city and a vibrant civilization. One last swim for the roads, one last night of camping.
This is our last day in Mexico, and I'm a bit sad about that actually. I really loved the country after almost 6 months there.
And we are ready to leave North America, officially adult Overlanders. After nearly 5 hours crossing the border, we reached Guatemala. This moment marked the end of season 1.
Thank you for watching this video to the end. If you're part of the 20% who made it this far, give me a big salute in the comments so I know. And I'll see you next week for the Q&A video, and very soon
for the season 2 because the journey is far from over. Actually, we're not even halfway. Cheers.
Te quiero decir, te elijo a ti. Si me dan a elegir, te elijo a ti para poder vivir. Te elijo a ti, es lo que me hace sentir. Te elijo a ti.